Hello again, true crime fans. We've got another mysterious case to explore. The case of Izabella Rzeszowska. A massacre in a small, quiet town on an island shocked the local community. 6 people were killed, including 3 children. Damian Rzeszowski, born in 1989 in southern Poland, struggled to find a stable job after serving in the army. At that time, he was in a relationship with his girlfriend, Izabella. In 2004, seeking a better life, Damian and Izabella decided to move from Poland to another country. They chose the island of Jersey in the UK, a picturesque and thriving tourist destination, as their ideal place for a peaceful family life. They relocated from Poland to Great Britain and settled in a small community called Saint Helier on Jersey's Victoria Street. This settlement had a Polish community of about 5,000 people, which made them feel at home. Damian found work as a builder, constructing houses and earning a good income. The couple married in 2005 and soon had 2 children, their eldest daughter, Kinga, and their youngest son, Kacper. Izabella became a housewife, dedicating her time to caring for the children and managing the household. Izabella's father also moved from Poland to live with them. Izabella became friends with their neighbors, and their children also became friends. However, Damian eventually grew tired of living on the island and wanted to return to Poland. Izabella disagreed with this. Secretly, he saved money and bought a house in Poland. He later told Izabella about the house, saying they needed to move back, which led to an argument. During this argument, Izabella revealed she was having an affair, to which Damian reacted aggressively, despite having been unfaithful himself. Damian was a devout Catholic, whose beliefs did not condone divorce. He could not forgive his wife. He harbored resentment toward her. In despair, he attempted to end her life by taking 80 antidepressant pills. He was hospitalized, treated with gastric lavage, and then released. Surprisingly, his psychological evaluation was normal, and he received no further treatment. Feeling guilty for her affair, Izabella pleaded for forgiveness to save their family. She tried to improve, becoming the best wife she could be, and asked for a fresh start. Damian agreed and suggested they take a vacation to Poland. Izabella thought it would be a good idea to escape from their domestic problems. At the end of July 2011, they took a short road trip to Poland to visit relatives and see the house Damian had bought. He hoped to persuade his wife to stay there. During the trip, they avoided arguments and relaxed, enjoying time with family. Everyone was happy, and there was hope for a better future. However, the trip was spoiled by the bad news that the house Damian bought was never built because the developer had deceived him, causing them to lose all their savings. At the end of the trip, Damian tried to convince Izabella to stay in Poland, but his plan failed. Izabella preferred to live in Great Britain, believing it offered more opportunities for her and their children, so she refused to stay in Poland. Upset by the house deception, the Damian family returned to Great Britain. They arrived home at 8 a.m. on August 14, 2011. Damian was exhausted from driving non-stop, which made him irritable with his wife. Instead of resting after the tiring trip, they decided to have a barbecue and meet with friends. Around 11 a.m., Izabella's friend, 34-year-old Marta, visited with her 5-year-old daughter, Julia. Izabella and Marta shared a lot in common, as both were housewives from Poland, and their daughters were friends. At the time, Marta was getting a divorce because her husband had been unfaithful. While the children played, the adults had a barbecue. After a while, 6-year-old Kinga and 1.5-year-old Kacper became tired and went to bed. Damian went inside with them. Later, Izabella went into the house to check on the children and discovered that Damian was not with them. They were sleeping alone. When Damian returned, he had an argument with Izabella after she scolded him for leaving the children unattended. Although they made up, Damian remained in a bad mood. He then began drinking whiskey, which led to a tragic series of events. While the women were talking outside and Izabella's 55-year-old father, Merrick, was watching TV in the room, at around 3 p.m., Damian grabbed 2 knives from the kitchen and attacked his father-in-law. Merrick, who was initially stabbed in the chest, tried to crawl away to warn Izabella and his grandchildren but was stabbed 9 times. Damian then went to the living room where the children were playing. He stabbed his son Kacper 13 times. Kinga and Julia screamed in frustration for help. Damian then turned on his daughter, stabbing her 16 times, and continued to attack Julia, stabbing her 16 times. The screams alerted Marta and Izabella, who rushed into the house. Damian attacked Marta and then his wife, stabbing Izabella 3 times near the heart. Despite her injuries, Izabella attempted to dial the emergency number, mistakenly dialing 997, the Polish emergency number, instead of the UK's 999. She then made it outside, screaming and calling for help. The Damian realized she was alive and went out into the street to continue attacking her. Passers-by tried to help the Izabella by throwing stones at him, but he didn't stop. The attacker began to threaten them, prompting someone to call emergency services at 999. After attacking his family and friends, Damian stabbed himself multiple times in the chest. By this time, an ambulance and police had arrived at the house, and he was rushed to hospital in Berkshire. In front of the house, Izabella was lying in serious condition. Inside, the police found a horrifying scene. 3 children were lying covered in blood in the living room, along with Marta. Marta and the girls were still showing signs of life. In the hallway was the lifeless body of Marek Garska, who died at the scene. Marta, Izabella, Kinga, and Julia were alive but in critical condition. They were rushed to the hospital, but unfortunately, all of them died a few hours later. In just 15 minutes, he killed 6 people. Neighbors passing by told the police that they saw Damian appearing deranged. He was running, shouting something in Polish, and attacking with a knife. Neighbors reported hearing screams and called 999. Damian received necessary medical treatment at the hospital and survived. 5 days after being hospitalized, he was arrested. He claimed he didn't remember anything and did not confess to the murders. Damian mentioned hearing voices in his hymn. He felt he was not himself and couldn't recall his actions. Later, Damian pleaded guilty to the manslaughter of 6 people due to insanity. Those close to the family mentioned that Damian and Izabella had been experiencing difficult times recently. They often argued and had planned to attend family therapy sessions upon returning from their trip. With testimony from over 40 witnesses, a complete picture of the events was established. The bodies of the 6 victims were returned to Poland for burial. In court, Damian claimed that he had no clear memory of the events due to dementia. His lawyer argued that he had always been a quiet and calm person who would never harm his loved ones under normal circumstances. Damian was also grieving and continued to take antidepressants. However, evidence suggested that he was not the model family man he portrayed himself to be. After moving to the UK, Damian allegedly became violent with his wife, according to her relatives. He also regularly hired call girls. Acquaintances described him as hot-tempered and aggressive, unable to control his emotions and anger. The news of his wife's infidelity worsened the situation. Damian harbored resentment against his spouse and later discovered he had lost his house money. In court, the prosecutor stated that Damian faced the prospect of a broken marriage and concluded that if the family couldn't remain intact, it shouldn't continue at all. The prosecutor argued that Damian was not suffering from any mental disorder during the incident. The psychiatrist reported that, after questioning the Damian 5 days post-attack, he found no signs of psychosis and considered him sane. The doctors acknowledged that Damian admitted to killing everyone and taking responsibility for it. On October 9, 2012, Damian Rzeszowski was found guilty and sentenced to 30 years in prison for each victim, to be served concurrently. This sentence sparked significant public disapproval. Locals were upset that for the brutal murder of 6 people, he would be released after only 30 years, and they feared he might resume his violent behavior. Damian was sent to a maximum security prison in Yorkshire, but 6 years later, on March 31, 2018, he was found dead in his cell, having hanged himself.